This podcast is an invitation to feel and experience the souls of famous old Hollywood homes and to have an in-depth journey to the areas where they're located through interviews with longtime residents. Either you're a fan of old Hollywood in Los Angeles, planning to have a vacation, or, an even bigger step, considering a certain area for your future home. This is your opportunity to receive valuable information and insightful advice you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Are you in the mood for California? Today we'll feel and experience Torrance, featuring an interview with wonderful Dion Ramos.
Torrance is a really nice city. We call it in the area of the South Bay, and I'm 10 minutes away from the beach, so I always have a wonderful breeze. And everything. I mean, Torrance is a good-sized city, so there's all kinds of food and things to do in Torrance.
Masha Korpacheva is a California-based realtor and a member of the National Association of Realtors in Los Angeles. She's an advocate for selling and buying homes with soul and practicing mindfulness in real estate. With master's degrees in spiritual psychology and linguistics, Masha brings all of her skills to work with her clients. An intuit and empath, she has touched many lives with her outstanding ability to see beyond the visible and helping to come to better understanding of issues and their resolutions. An adventurous world traveler, from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to exploring the Galapagos Islands, Masha has a particular passion for the City of Angels. Having landed in this paradise and adopted it as her home, she's been sharing old Hollywood stories since 2007. In the mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.
And now, are you ready to experience Torrance? Tucked between the sparkling Pacific Ocean and the industrial heart of Los Angeles County, Torrance is a city built on vision, innovation, and an enduring sense of community. Its story begins not in gold rush dreams or Spanish missions, but in the quiet plans of a man named Cyd Torrance, a real estate developer, philanthropist, and entrepreneur who imagined a model industrial city at the turn of the 20th century. In 1911, Cyd Torrance partnered with noted landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. and the famed Beaux-Arts architect Irving Gill. Together, they designed a revolutionary city plan, one that would carefully separate industrial and residential zones, an uncommon idea at the time. It was intended to be a place where factory workers could live comfortably near their jobs, but without the pollution or congestion that plagued other industrial towns. Torrance envisioned a utopian city blending commerce, clean living, and beautiful design. The Olmsted plan featured tree-lined streets, parks, and a well-planned downtown. Irving Gill designed many of the city's early civic buildings in a modernist style years ahead of its time, incorporating simple lines, clean forms, and concrete construction. The Torrance Company began selling lots in 1912, and by 1921, the city was officially incorporated. Torrance's first major industry and its backbone for decades was the Pacific Electric Railway repair yards, followed closely by the Union Tool Company and the Columbia Steel Plant, which later became part of U.S. Steel. These factories helped build not only Torrance but the entire Los Angeles region, contributing to everything from wartime production to post-war infrastructure. The city became a hub for manufacturing in the 20th century, attracting major companies like Mobil Oil, Hughes Aircraft, and eventually Toyota, which established its North American headquarters in Torrance in the 1980s. Torrance was and still is a center of industry and innovation. Despite its industrial roots, Torrance was never just a factory town. In the 1920s, its population began to grow as homes were built for workers and their families. The city expanded westward in the post-war years, transforming bean fields and oil derricks into tidy suburbs. Torrance boomed during the 1950s and 60s as returning veterans, aerospace workers, and young families flocked to the area. Torrance was also one of the first cities in the South Bay to desegregate its housing and schools, quietly avoiding some of the turmoil seen in nearby communities during the civil rights era. Geographically, Torrance is unique. Its western border runs along the ocean, with Torrance Beach offering dramatic coastal bluffs and a quieter stretch of sand just south of Redondo Beach. The city's western edge also includes the scenic Palos Verdes Peninsula and the preserved coastal sage scrub habitat of Madrona Marsh, one of the last remaining vernal wetlands in Southern California. Though it doesn't always get the limelight of more famous beach cities, Torrance has a relaxed, lived-in charm. Locals know the Del Amo Fashion Center, once the largest mall in the US, but they also treasure family-run bakeries, Japanese markets, and decades-old restaurants that reflect the city's rich cultural diversity. Today, Torrance is home to one of the largest Japanese American populations in the United States. That influence can be seen in its schools, community events, and dining scene. The city also hosts a thriving Korean, Filipino, and Latino community, creating a vibrant and inclusive cultural landscape. Torrance remains a city of contrasts and harmony, where beach life meets industry, where heritage meets innovation. It's where you can walk through a wetland that predates the city itself, tour a 1920s steel mill, and enjoy matcha ice cream after sushi, all in the same afternoon. Over 110 years after its founding, Torrance has fulfilled much of Jared Sidney Torrance's dream. It remains a place where industry and quality of life coexist, where families flourish, businesses grow, and the sea breeze carries echoes of a city designed with purpose. It's not flashy, it's not always in the headlines, but for those who know it, Torrance is something rare, a place that feels like home in all the right ways. And here we are. Welcome to Torrance. I'm so happy to have Dion Ramos here with me. Born and raised in Los Angeles, Dion Ramos found his voice early, singing in his church choir by 4th grade. Music became his passion through high school and college, where he spent most of his time in the music building and student government. It was during this time, as a standout vocal student helping others, that he discovered his love for teaching and coaching. Though classically trained, Dion expanded into musical theater, performing across Southern California for over 15 years. One of his most iconic roles was portraying the king at medieval times. He has also graced major stages, including a performance at the Hollywood Bowl and the 1984 Olympic Opening Ceremonies. His talents led him to TV and film, where he quickly stepped into the role of first assistant director, a perfect blend of artistry and leadership. Over his 30-year career, Dion has acted with legends like Cyd Charisse, directed pageants, produced stage events, and coached countless performers in finding their power on stage. In his next chapter, he's returning to the spotlight as a motivational speaker, empowering others to take center stage in their own lives. Today, Dion shares his journey from singer to stage leader and what it feels like to live in Torrance, a city that quietly pulses with creativity, diversity, and a deep love for the arts. Hello, Dion.
Hello, Masha.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for finding the time for our conversation today. I'm so appreciative of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course, of course. Well, you're such a bright personality, and I'm sure you have so many stories to share. But let's start with where you're now. Torrance. What does it actually feel like to live there? What kind of energy or maybe rhythm does this city carry?
Torrance is a really nice city. We call it in the area of the South Bay, and I'm 10 minutes away from the beach, so I always have a wonderful breeze. And everything. I mean, Torrance is a good-sized city, so there's all kinds of food and things to do in Torrance.
And maybe you can share some of your favorite places in Torrance, like hidden gems or go-to coffee spots, maybe places that inspire you creatively.
Oh my goodness. Well, again, I'm so close to the beach, but the beach is not Torrance; it's Manhattan Beach, and of course the pier there is always beautiful, and there's always people and good energy there. One of my favorite places to eat is called Miches de Baja. It's Mexican food, and you walk in and you think you're in Tijuana. It's beautifully decorated, and the food is outstanding. And I'm there on a very regular basis.
Okay, very interesting. And let's imagine if someone had never been to Torrance, how would you describe its vibe or maybe soul in a sentence or two?
Torrance is a large but not too large city with lots of energy. There's things to do in every direction.
So you would say it's very vibrant.
Definitely.
Okay, interesting.
I must confess, I'm a foodie. So when I think of a city, I think of the food first.
That's good. That's good. When it sounds like there is a lot of good food in Torrance, otherwise you would not be living there.
Oh, yes. I mean, literally, there's this old Chinese restaurant that has Hong Kong duck, and it is the best I've ever had. And not a lot of people have had Hong Kong duck, but it is outstanding.
Yes, they usually speak of Peking duck, not Hong Kong duck.
Right.
Huh. Okay, what's the name of that restaurant?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Honestly, I can't even think of the name of it. I drive by it every day.
Okay, well, maybe you'll share it with me later, and I'll be able to share it with the listeners as well, just in case someone would like to drive all the way to Torrance to experience Hong Kong duck.
Yes.
Well, Dion, you started singing in church choir in the 4th grade. Do you remember the moment when you first felt music move something deep inside you?
Well, I would have to say church, because I grew up in a Catholic church in a Catholic school. So I was definitely going to church. Well, back then it was twice a week, because we'd go once in school and then once on Sunday with family. And so I grew up with classical music, with singing in Latin. And to me, it is still one of my favorite languages to sing in.
How so?
I don't know. It's a beautiful language. And of course, it's all the classical music. It's not contemporary by no means, so I grew up with the classical music. And of course, Latin was the first language. I mean, I think Latin's more popular because it was church music. It was the music written for the church.
Yes. So there must be something divine for you connected to the music that you started singing early on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely, who said it best? I think Bach said it when he said, singing is the way to pray twice. Not just once, but singing is the second way to pray.
Okay. Wow, interesting. And then you decided to pursue education in music as well, and you were rated very highly as a vocal student, and that's how you got to start coaching other students. So what did you learn about yourself in that transition from student to teacher, from performer to mentor?
It was interesting because I was only 17 as a freshman in college, so I was a little young. And here I am coaching people that are 18 to 28, but I was blessed with a gift. I could sing. I had a very powerful voice because I'd sung since, forever, it seemed like. So it really was interesting because when you start coaching a vocalist, you can't pick on the instrument because the instrument is them. If you're teaching guitar, you can say to the person, hey, your guitar's, you got a lousy guitar, you need to buy a new one, or at least restring it or something. But to the vocalist, that instrument is built inside. So if you pick on the instrument, you're picking on the person. So you had to be very careful.
Yes.
So that brought me into, I got to work with some outstanding people back in college. I don't think I truly appreciated it until probably 10 years later when I looked back and said, wow, look at the people I worked with and realized just how lucky I was.
Interesting. So what is the most important thing that you learned about yourself from teaching others?
Oh, about myself. I think it was, just performing is completely up to you. Good day, good attitude, bad attitude. If it's your turn to perform on stage, it's in your hands and your control.
Okay, interesting. And then you spent 15 years of performing in front of thousands of people all over Southern California. What did you discover about human connection from the stage that you couldn't have learned anywhere else?
Oh, well, there is just nothing like the stage. My quote that I've used for 30 years that I say nobody's ever stole from me, and I don't know why, is my drug of choice will always be a live audience, because the energy that you get from walking on stage and you realize that everyone's looking at you. You get a laugh and you hear 1,000 people laughing because of something you did, whether it's physical or a line that you just, you said. There's nothing like it. It just lights you up inside.
Interesting. In that moment, do you feel being one whole with the audience, or do you feel the audience is being separate from you?
Oh, I feel so connected. They teach you on stage. It's a rare occasion that you break the fourth wall, and that's the wall in front of you between you and the audience. But if you're performing, you can't help but see them. Even through the bright lights, you can see the reactions, you can feel the reactions, you can hear the reactions. I don't think there's a way you could be separate if you tried.
Wow, that's very powerful. And you would think that, you would continue staying with that feeling that you just described. But then came the shift into film and TV for you. So what drew you to become a first AD, and how did that role actually stretch you as a leader?
I had a friend that went to USC Film School. He called me up one day and said, hey, and we'd met on stage. And he said, hey, I'm shooting a short film and I need some help. Can you help? And I'm like, sure, but I don't know anything about film. I'm a stage guy. And he goes, don't worry. It's just a handful of us. I'll point and tell you what to do. And I'm like, okay, he just needed an extra pair of hands. And so I went and helped him shoot his short film. And it was just one scene around a poker table, literally like 4 guys at a poker table. And we got it done. And I thought, this is fun. I like working behind. There's more action. There's more activity behind the camera. Because behind the camera, you're always waiting. I mean, the old adage is, hurry up and wait. That's what people say, because the camera has to be set, the lights have to be set, everything has to be set, and the props have to be in place, and all that takes time. And then finally, they call the actors in, and you hopefully get your time in front of the camera. But it's a lot of hurry up and wait. So behind the camera, I got to learn how to do other things. I mean, when I was doing some extra work for TV and film, some great shows like Chicago Hope and, things like that back in the day, I would pay attention to what everybody else was doing, because I'd be bored just sitting there doing nothing. After I shot with my friend, I said, this is fun. Let me see if I can do this again. And I, looked around and found some other students that were shooting films and said, hey, I want to help. And it took about 4 or 5 short films, like 2 or 3 days at a time, to find myself in the first AD position. And that's the position where, as the assistant director, you run the show. You got to make sure everything's there when it's supposed to be, that the actors are safe, the camera crew's in place, that the camera's loaded, that the lunch is ready on time, that the breaks are taken on time. I mean, all that is handled by the first AD. So it definitely is, you are the voice and you are the leader. You're the one in charge. So it didn't take long for me to find a home there.
Okay. And as compared to being a performer, so being a first AD, how did it feel to you?
It was fun because, again, everything is on your voice. You're the one calling, roll sound, roll camera. The director says action, but you've set everything up for him so that he can sit back and just do what he needs to do and see that one scene and see it, getting shot right, making sure the lines are coming out right. but it's the first AD to make sure the lights are in place and the crew's in place and the actors are in place and the costumes ready and the makeup's ready and sound guys ready. It is very satisfying because there's so much on you.
Yes, yes, it must have been also very empowering.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Okay, interesting. So, Dion, you have worn so many creative hats: actor, singer, director, producer, coach. Was there a moment in your career when you realized that what you were really doing was actually helping people become who they're meant to be?
You know, it's funny because when I evolved into coach, it took really stepping out of that area of entertainment and starting to coach people in acting, but coach them in business and coach them in life, that I realized that everything I had done beforehand, from coaching voice at 17, led me up to this, because I was coaching them and helping them become the best that they could be, whether it's on stage or in front of a businessman or in front of clients or in front of a banker trying to ask for money. I made them the best that they could be and ready and prepared for that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So interesting. Like as if you put yourself as a mirror in front of them so that they can truly see who they are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was blessed with the ability of rapport. And I think rapport can be learned, but some people are gifted with it. And I refer to it as a gift from God, because it is just something that's natural to me. So I can talk to, anybody about anything, and it doesn't take long to create a relationship where I can say things that other people might not be able to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs to happen when you want to help somebody improve.
Yes, yes, very true. And oftentimes another person can see you much better than you can see yourself at first, like by the way they are reflecting to you who you are.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. Yes. So many, we're human. We're blinded by our own glasses, if you will, our own
Mm-hmm.
lenses. We see what we want to see, and it definitely takes someone to step outside that. But that person has to be somebody you trust, or you won't listen to them. If you don't trust them, you're going to say, no, they don't know what they're talking about. But if you trust them and feel comfortable with them, you listen and you go, wow, I've never thought about that. Maybe I'll try that. Or yes, I see how you see that. And so they can see a whole new perspective of themselves. But it comes to rapport and trust, which is huge.
Yes, yes, very true. And the interesting thing about humans is that we can actually never see our own face unless we see it in a mirror. Like we can see our arms, we can see our legs, but we can never truly see our face. And when we speak to other people, we see other people's faces. But unless we come up to a mirror, we cannot see ourselves.
So very true. And even in the mirror, you're seeing a reflection. You're seeing the reverse of yourself, not even the full self.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, so very true. Interesting. Okay. Well, so it's been a while for you probably that you went back to stage, but what does it mean to you now if you are taking the stage and after all these years with everything that you have lived and learned? What does it feel these days?
Oh, it's just, I mean, I try and support the arts and my friends as much as possible. And I was very connected in Hollywood. So I would go see friends that are in bands and, performing on a regular basis, see plays, which is how we met, of course, and I mean, the writer director of the play that we saw, I
Yes.
shot a short film with him 20 years earlier, but we stayed friends on Facebook. And when he said, oh, I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this book. I have to come see, I have to come support. So I try to support in all areas. But as I sit there in the audience, I jones, I ache, I hurt, because I want to be on stage. I don't want to be sitting in the audience. So it fulfills a bit of hunger to see, a good play, whether it's a ballet or an opera or a musical or a play or a band, fulfills some hunger in me. But it also raises more, because I want to be on stage. I want to be enjoying that. I want to feel, from the stage looking at the audience versus the audience looking at the stage.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And then this play where we met, it was called Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and it was made after a book with a similar name by Dan Millman, and you were so kind as to gift me this book because you had some spare copies in your car, which is, quite uncanny. And you did mention to me then that this book is like your Bible. So what is it so special about this book that you treasure it so much?
Sometimes you come across things, people, books, poems, quotes, and they just resonate with you. You feel them in your heart, you feel them in your soul. And to me, that book was one of them that I think I read it 20 years ago the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, this is amazing. I love this. This is the evolution that I want to find in my life. I want, to find my Socrates, and I want to become Socrates someday, because I don't think about just being the student, but being the teacher as well. And I, of course, I have to blame my mother for that, because she was a teacher for 20 years. So I say it's in my blood. I can't help myself. But when you find a book, everybody, if they enjoy reading, will find a book and it just resonates with them, and they just hold on to it, and they go, wow, this is possible, because it's somebody thought of this before I did. Somebody put this, down on paper. And so, So this was one of the books that I, again, just found so important. So, on this series of, the 4 or 5 books that I love, buy copies, I buy used copies on eBay or Amazon as often as I can. So I have 2 or 3 around, and I just happened to get them the day before. So I threw a couple copies in my car, and I went, I'll have them, just to have them with me. And then I met you by chance,
Yes.
And so it was a perfect opportunity to be able to share knowledge. We met for just a brief moment, but I gave you a book that you might hold on to forever if it resonates with you. That's a powerful thing to be able to do.
Yes, and you continue to be a teacher even to strangers by giving them books. That's so special. Dion, if you could speak to that young boy in the 4th grade church choir, what would you want him to know about the journey ahead?
Oh, such a journey. I think the first thing I would say to him is, it's okay. You don't have to be shy. People are fun and friendly and nice and kind. And that's the world I like to see. And because I was a very shy kid. I mean, I laugh at the fact that if I would have been in a church choir, that the choir was in the front instead of in the back in the balcony, I might not have ever joined choir, because I was such a shy kid. I wouldn't stand there with people staring at me. So I would probably say to him, get over your shyness. The sooner you get over the shyness, the better. Yeah, there's so much out there for you to see and do.
Interesting. And then you became the performer, and you enjoyed being on stage so much, something that a shy person usually would not choose to do.
Yeah, so true. So true.
So do you think it just came about in some, subconscious manner, or like, why were you drawn to that? Why do you think?
Again, my love of music. I just, I listen to music constantly, and I listen to all types of music, and I go see live music. Music to me is life.
Mhm.
In my collection of music, I can get myself out of a bad mood or into a bad mood, feeling melancholy or feeling in love or feeling elated about life. Music is magical.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for, first of all, finding the time for our conversation today, and for opening your heart to basically a complete stranger who you met at this very interesting play, and sharing your knowledge and sharing the book with me. And I'm going to find the time to read the book from back to back, because the story really resonated with me. And the book seems to really require this piece, that you want to immerse yourself into it and just really savor every quote, basically. What I remember from the play is that, it was mentioned that the journey itself is what brings the happiness, not really the destination of where you're going. And I thought it was such a profound quote, even though it is so simple. And you sharing your life, sharing your journey with us is also very special, because, there are no ordinary moments in life. every moment and every encounter with a human being is special.
Your two quotes right there, no ordinary moment, and the journey, and it's about the journey. I mean, if people were born understanding that alone, those two simple things,
yes,
how far would we, evolve?
Mm-hmm.
Because we look at that destination, that end, that target, that goal. And some people work so very hard and don't enjoy getting there. And that's so sad because you're here on earth, and life, there's so much to enjoy here.
Very, very
And,
true.
and there aren't ordinary moments. I mean, I was standing in a lobby and this energy just walked up to me and said something to me, and we struck a conversation. And now we have new friends.
Yes, I know.
That's simple when you take that little steps, because we could have stood there and kind of glanced at each other and nodded and smiled like the other 30 people in the room, maybe. But, you broke the ice and just said hello, and we started conversing.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
that is what life is about.
Exactly. And it's very, very simple. And people tend to overthink things and make them complicated, while everything that is simple is actually very, very profound.
Yes. Yes, so true.
Thank you so much once again, Dion, and until next time.
Thank you, and enjoy the book.
I will. I'm so looking forward to it. Thank
Awesome.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Feel and Experience Torrance with my special guest, Dion Ramos. If you enjoy my podcast, In the Mood for California, please sign up for future episodes at your preferred platform, and please leave your feedback. I really appreciate your time and support. You can follow me on Instagram at In the Mood for California and check out my website www.inthemoodforcalifornia.com. Selling and buying homes with soul is not just my real estate strategy. It's an intuitive and holistic approach that embraces your values, aspirations, and conscious intentions. If you want to discover the power of mindfulness in your real estate journey with my compassionate guidance, I'm here for you. Next time, we'll step into a world where vintage glamour meets everyday magic, Anaheim. Best known for its famous theme park, there is another side to this city, one that hums with nostalgia, where the past lingers in melodies, silhouettes, and sun-washed streets. It's a place where time slows down just enough to let inspiration catch up. I'm so looking forward to seeing you there.
In the Mood for California, feel the soul of Old Hollywood.